We, running behind here. Already into the action here. These guys didn't wait for me at all. So I apologize for the delay here. So we got round 5 action. On the left, it's Ian Strege. I don't know what he's playing necessarily because I haven't had a chance. And on the right stream regular Garrett Meadows, who's playing Gruel. Alright, so Garrett's serving in with his 2-2. Just forcing the block from the Owen speaker. There's no reason not to. Ian might not block because of some kind of fear of a trick. Then we're going to get the force spike on the Erebos' Emissary. Or Familiar, or whatever that card is called, I can't remember. And then Ian's going to land a Thassa's Bident. So we've seen all 5 equipment so far on the day. He's not Gruel at all. He's Golgari. Oh no, I think he's Jund actually, because I know he has red cards in his deck too. So Garrett with the 2-2 with Reach. And now a Centaur Courser, I believe. No, it's not a Centaur Courser at all. Oh guys, I'm falling apart here. That is a Voyaging Satyr, a 1-2 that will untap target land, so basically a mana dork for all intents and purposes. Ian adding to his board as well. With the Sealock monster, can't attack unless his opponent controls an island. It's a 5/5, but you go monstrous for 7. And then target land becomes an island. So Ian in a pretty good spot here with the the Bident in play. Should the game go long, he can start using his mana effectively to make his creature Omen Speaker unblockable, then draw cards that way off of the Bident. And here's the Satyr Hedonist. Which Garrett can use to gain access to red mana. And there's another Omen Speaker. Ian's going to scry 2, slightly off camera. He's going to shove both of them. So no business in the top for Ian. Hopefully the Omen Speaker's smooth his draw a little bit there. So Ian's going to go ahead and activate his Bident. Make target creature unblockable. Oh no, wait, the blue equipment, does it tap? Good grief, guys, I apologize. A lot of cards in this matchup that I haven't seen today, so I'm not incredibly familiar with them, which is causing me... Creatures your opponents control attack this turn if able, so he's forcing attacks from Garrett to try and pick some stuff off. There is Thassa herself, so Ian's pool pretty reasonable here. going to attack with his Omen Speaker, draw a card off of Thassa. And in a pretty good spot here, so Garrett finds a red source, but no business. And before end of turn, Garrett's going to force, or Ian's going to force all of his creatures to attack. So pretty strong Alluring Siren type ability here. Going to force Garrett to run his creatures into Thassa and his 5/5. So we're going to see a Flail of the Whip, a -4/-4 on Thassa. But then another combat trick from Ian is going to keep them from trading with each other. And Ian's going to scry off of it. So Ian untaps with Thassa and with the Bident in play. Should be pretty much game over from this point. Ian can attack in with his entire team, draw 5 cards. He can make his Kraken monstrous, push it up to an 8/8. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Going to turn one of Garrett's lands into an island. It's going to be a forest. It remains a forest as well, but it's an island in addition to its other types. So it gives the Kraken the ability to attack. Knocking Garrett down to 10, drawing a card. Won't be able to activate his Bident this turn, but I don't really think it matters, as Ian in a very good spot here. And Garrett's going to go ahead and pack him up. Moving on into game 2, so a quick one. From the nearly mono blue deck of Ian Strege. Again, these guys are 3-1 on the day. Both of them only dropping 1 game so far through the first 4 rounds. This is, of course, round 5 of our Theros Prerelease. 6 rounds of Swiss today, no cut to top 8, so we have this round and then 1 more. Currently, there are 3 undefeated players. Alec Myers, who we watched during deck building, opened a white pool. He's playing a white-green aggro deck, I believe. He is undefeated. He's currently playing against Justin Carpenter, who's also undefeated. I believe who opened a red pool. And then the third player who got paired down is Chris Booth, who is playing a blue-black control deck after opening a blue pool. We saw him in round 1 win that feature match. So next round we'll see the winner of the undefeateds play possibly Chris if he wins. Should be interesting to see who ultimately wins this event. Obviously, this is just for fun. We're more interested in people just coming out to play. But still worth the bragging rights to take down the top spot. So 245 people watching currently. We appreciate you taking the time to watch our broadcast. This is the first time you've ever watched us. Would like to encourage you to follow us on our various forms of social media. First and foremost, the easiest way is to check us out right here on Twitch. If you're already watching, click the follow button below and to the left of the video window. That will get you signed up with us, and they should send you an email anytime we go live. We do F&M streams each and every week at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We've been doing them for, I think, 55 weeks now, and we've only missed 6, so there's always going to be some standard action. Make sure you join us next week at 6:30 p.m. Eastern for the Theros launch party, where we're going to have coverage of a Theros booster draft. We're going to watch the picks with a hand cam for one of our players, and then watch all 3 rounds of that event. We don't normally get to do a lot of limited events. It's usually standard, so that's a good chance to check that out. And then you can also follow us with the username Zach Sells Magic on all of these sites: YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. We do have a Facebook fan page for the stream, and it's updated daily with news, interesting Magic links, videos, pictures, giveaways, and information about the stream. Also, head over to our sponsors at affinityforcards.com Use promo code Lost Legion for 5% off your first order. And over at inkedplaymats.com, they hooked us up with a pretty sweet custom playmat that you see there. If you want to get any playmats of your own, as well as just some pretty high quality, low cost merchandise, head over there to Inked Playmats. So we move into game 2 here. Garrett on the play, going to try to equalize here. I know there's a Xenagos in his deck. So he has some pretty reasonable pools. Of course, Garrett said earlier that Xenagos is a card that makes a 2/2 with haste for 4 mana, then immediately gets killed. But you're bound to have some of that. There we see the 1/2 that untaps a land. Ian with 2 mana up, representing the Force Spike. I still cannot remember what that card is called. Garrett adding a Minotaur to his board. So that was a Wave Crash Triton. It was a 1/4 with a heroic that sleeps target creature. But Garrett's going to deal with that and then pound in for 2, knocking Ian down to 17. Ian on the all-blue plane, but I think his deck is mostly mono-blue. I don't really know if he has a real red mana base in it, or if it's just a splash. He's going to give the Minotaur -3, -0, and then he's going to use that opportunity to scry, finds himself a red mana source, and then plays his 5/5 effective defender in this situation. So Garrett offering up trades here, but clearly has some kind of trick. And then finishes off the Kraken with the 4 damage spell, Scry 1. So Garrett in a pretty good spot here, is burning through some of his removal spells, just down to 2 cards against almost full grip from Ian. But has Ian down to 14, and Ian does not have anything on board. There we see, I believe, a Fanatic of Magus, or Magus of something, I can't remember what it's called. But it's going to shock Garrett equal to his devotion to red. Obviously in this situation, not that strong, as it just pings him for 1. And then Garrett's going to go ahead and read the bones. Scry 2, draw 2, pay 2. Question in the chat about how much the event cost. Now here it's $30. That of course is US. That gets you 6 packs. And also contributes to prize support, which is distributed throughout and at the end of the event. Looks like Ian's adding an Ember Swallower to his board to go along with the Fanatic of Magus. No, that's not an Ember Swallower. That is a Storm Breath Dragon. Good grief, how did I not notice that? Flying, haste, protection from white. Can make it monstrous for 7, and when you do, it deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of cards in their hand. So it's a Storm Seeker, a 4/4 base, flying pro white with haste that goes up to a 7/7, and Storm Seekers your opponent. Garrett's going to bestow his 2-3 Minotaur with the 2-2 with reach. Attack in for 4. Drops Ian down to 10, but this dragon's going to take over here. As mythics often do. Ian can make it monstrous. It's only going to be 1 damage to Garrett, though. He can do it during Garrett's draw step if he chooses not to attack. Chooses not to, just passes back. Now that Minotaur has to attack each turn, but he can regenerate it. And there is the monstrous. So make a 7/7. Do 2 damage to Garrett because he has 2 cards in his hand, dropping him down to 11. Line up blocks like this. Ian tapped out, so there are no tricks. So Ian at a minimum, or Garrett at a minimum, can regenerate his guy. Of course, facing down the 4/2 Fanatic and the 7/7 Flyer, he's dead if Ian has a removal spell for his 1/2 creature and Garrett doesn't follow up with anything here. I guess Garrett is choosing between saving his Minotaur with Regenerate or casting something. It looks like he's just going to let it die. Bestow, trigger, or however you want to call it, rule that. Comes into play, and now we see the Colossus of Akrosa, I believe. It's a 10/10 defender that Garrett can pump to make enormous. It's the Colossus of Akros, indestructible 10/10 defender with monstrosity 10. It becomes a 20/20 and can attack with trample. Ian casting an Omen Speaker, trying to find an answer to this situation. Garrett with 8 mana on board. Needs 2 more mana to be able to activate his Colossus and attack for the win. So Ian Strege showing his innate talent of opening booster packs of Magic cards, as he's opened both the Mythic Dragon, Thassa, as well as the Biden of Thassa. Not a bad day's work. There's a Polish Crusher. A 4/4 trample, protection from enchantments, so when you make it monstrous, destroy target enchantment your opponent controls. But more importantly, it looks like Garrett did not draw a land, so he's still 2 turns off of activating his Colossus here. And we're going to go ahead and dissolve that. Scrying one. Cannot make out the card that we're seeing there. He's going to leave it on top, though. Looked like a Spear Point Oriad. +2/+2 and first strike. Serving in with the 7/7. Dropping Garrett to 4 and nearly dead on board. And there's a Stone Shock Giant, which when it goes monstrous, falters your opponent's team other than the Flyers. What does Garrett have? Garrett needs Sip of Hemlock or Hero's Downfall or something. And Garrett just destroying his own artifact just for the lulz. But to Ian doing showing what mythics do best, which is take over games and win them in short fashion. So the dragon gets there, and Ian Strege's Izzet deck moves on to 4-1. So he's drawing live to the final here as possible that there will only be 1 undefeated player going into the final round. Guys, there's about 26 minutes left. Obviously, we got some more time. I want to go try and find a match that we can slot over to